This question comes from Lindsay Peter Schumacher in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Does the current size of the Federal Reserve balance sheet concern you? In particular, the result of quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve expanded its balance sheet out of nothing. The net effect, in essence, is a form of single entry accounting, creating something of value out of nothing other than a series of book entries, and wondering what Mr. Munger thinks about this as well.
Well, I don't think the Federal Reserve is the problem, and I think they can't solve the fiscal problem. I do not worry about the Federal Reserve, and I think it's fulfilling the functions for which it was established. I probably would not have been. They have two objectives, and I would not have been one probably that would have changed the inflation objective to 2% a year from zero. I think that I think that if you tell your people that you're shooting to depreciate your currency at 2% a year, that has a lot of implications. Although it feels good to a lot of people. A lot of people want a little inflation. But nobody wants a lot of inflation, except somebody's got a lot of debts. And I do not worry about the Federal Reserve balance sheet. I enjoy looking at it, and the numbers are big. I always like big numbers, but it is not. It's interesting. One of the most interesting figures to me is currency in circulation. I mean, it is gone. They were saying cash is trash back in 2007 and 8, and all of that cash is going to disappear. Well, if you look at the Federal Reserve balance sheet, it's gone from $800 billion to $2.2 trillion. And most of that's in $100 bills, overwhelmingly. And if you figure it out, I think there's about 50 $100 bills per person, babies, everybody in the United States. And I would really like to know where all of that is. I mean, nobody's hoarding euro dollars, in South America or Africa or wherever. And the demand for currency now, it's some of it maybe used to be subtle drug dealers' activities and all of that. But anybody who thinks cash is trash ought to look at the Federal Reserve balance sheet, and actually you can look at how many $5 bills and $2 bills and ones and all that, and the action has been in $100 bills. I mean, it is just astounding the way that $100 bills have spread, and of course I don't know where they are, and I don't think the Fed can know exactly, but they probably make a lot better guess than I could. But I do know it's happened, and you can watch it every week. And you'll watch currency in circulation probably grow a little bit. And believe me, cash is not trash. Charlie?
Well, I don't know where we're headed with all of this. It's been very extreme. I think that you could be pretty extreme in fighting depressions and so forth if you reverted afterwards to a period of some discipline. But if you're some discipline, but if you're going to just keep borrowing, printing money and spending it, I think eventually it causes bad trouble. And you can see it in Latin America. Latin America let its currency get out of control all the time, and of course it lagged the United States in economic achievement greatly. So I think we pay a price if we ever give up our old ways entirely and go into a new world where we just try and print money to make it easier to get through the year.
We paid a price in World War II. I mean, everybody, school kids and everybody else, myself included. I mean, we bought what were originally called war bonds and defense bonds and savings bonds and all that. But from 1940 to 1944 or 5, you paid out $18.75 and you got $25 back, and every kid saved savings stamps and all that. But when you got all through, you had 120% of GDP in the national debt instead of 30 or 40%. And we had a lot of inflation subsequently, a lot. So the people that bought those bonds in support of the war had a portion of their purchasing power taken away from them. Well, there wasn't anything wrong with that particularly, but when a country gets in the habit of doing that, I think it's tough to figure out where the breaking point is with society, but I don't think you want to come anywhere close to it.
Yeah, but it's also tough to have a mass of people unemployed. That's the tension.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Fed has two objectives in terms of employment and inflation, but they are not the ones that create the deficits. And so far, the system has worked pretty well, although, like I say, it's been...
So far, the man who's jumped off a tall building is all
right
until he hits the ground.
Yeah. Well, but there could be ways we can stop now at the third floor or the sixth floor. We don't know what floor it is, but we know it isn't having hit the ground. But the question, politically, it's very, very, very tempting to vote appropriations, and it's not fun to vote taxes. And Russell Long, head of the Senate Finance Committee, they got a building named after him now. He said, don't tax you, don't tax me, tax that guy behind the tree. And basically, that is the attitude of, it's the reality of what is useful in politics. And so far, this country's managed to work very well with a lot of things that could theoretically cause a lot of problems, but it doesn't guarantee us the future on it. And being the reserve currency lets us do a lot of things, but it also creates a lot of consequences if we screw it up. Charlie?
Well, we're beating a subject to death, but it is a problem. I wish we had a solution.